sort of a depressing time in my life. I had left corporate. I was going to get lunch with my brother, and for some reason he showed me this video of CT Fletcher. Some of you may know who that is, well known in the fitness world, and he was lifting weights and his biceps are the size of my waist. Then he starts talking about how he got big and how it was the mental decision, and no matter what anybody else said, it was what he believed in his mind and that he manifested it, and just it became his obsession, and he uses that word a lot. It just really inspired me. It's weird, like if I had not gone to college at the time that I did, I was on the fence about joining either the military or going to college. And maybe military meaning I would go into the military and possibly finish college later on with a GI Bill. But I was at that crossroads. At that time, I felt like I needed that drill sergeant type of, I don't want to say mental beating, but I needed someone to yell at me and be hard with me. I needed that boot camp sort of environment, because at times I feel like I can motivate myself, but it's just hard sometimes. And I'm getting messages. Am I still in bed? Okay, you didn't hear that. It's hard to motivate yourself sometimes. Some people are really disciplined and they manage to manage their time really well. And I go through like ups and downs where sometimes I'm like on fire, motivated with no end. There's nothing that can stop me. There's always disappointments and discouragements along the way, but it doesn't mean that you stop. And sometimes it sort of slows me down or pushes me off path, or just takes my eyes off of what I should be obsessed with, because I feel like CT Fletcher is right that you have to be obsessed with what you're trying to achieve, or else you won't ever get it. I found Gary Vaynerchuk through Mike Rashid, which is another bodybuilder that my brother had told me about. And Mike Rashid, just clicked on a random YouTube video of his, and I think he was talking about success. He gave a shout out to Gary, so I was like, who's this Gary? And so it was kind of like a spider web from there, and every single motivational person that I've sort of looked up to was just either a name mentioned. Like from there, I was watching the Gary Vee show, and he had this guy Eric Thomas on, and he was talking about, oh, when your video went viral, blah blah blah, you're so motivational. And I was like, so who's this Eric Thomas guy? So I had to look up Eric Thomas, and he was the one that did the motivational video on you have to want it as bad as you want to breathe. It was really inspiring, and he's another one that's like really, again, no bullshit kind of guy. So yeah, I'm at this point where obviously you guys know that I left corporate, and there's always this temptation to go back because it's a very safe environment for the most part, and you're always going to get a paycheck no matter what, unless you're doing sales and you don't meet your quota and you get fired, which can always happen. And I was in sales, but not to that extent where I ever had to worry about getting fired for quota, at least not with the last couple jobs I've had. Now being out on my own and getting back into broadcast, which is sort of a hobby slash, it's just what I like to do. But I always have known that I was going to be an entrepreneur in something or in some way. I always had this drive and curiosity and love for entrepreneurship. Like I remember I was buying business magazines and Entrepreneur magazine when I was still in high school. It's weird, like looking back at the things that that really interested me and that I was reading and where I spent my time and my focus. And another part that interested me looking back is fashion. And so I had like 3 different fashion magazines that were coming to my house when I was in high school. I always felt that I wanted to be my own boss. I just didn't know the boss of what. Would I open up my own restaurant? Would I start my own show? Like I ended up taking a job with my friend in fashion. I don't regret that, because that was really good experience, because it really gave me like representing clothing lines and stuff and getting clothes into stores. It is not easy. It is a hustle. And so I hustled to get these contracts, and it was a lot of work. I needed that because I felt like my previous job was in sales, but it was like big time sales. I mean, I never had to do a hard sale or really focus in on just the start of the sales process and closing. I felt like my company was so big that it was just a given. It wasn't if the sale was going to happen, it was more of like how much. And so in a sense, like we could negotiate how much and make a bigger sale, but whether or not they were going to buy, they were going to buy. and we were on their list. So it was very entitled, I guess, if that's even the right word. So doing real sales was a really good experience. And so after a season of that, I felt really ready. And then at that time, when that season ended, my dad had the worst. I mean, his Parkinson's got out of control. He had become emaciated because he was in too much pain to eat, and he was losing his ability to walk, move. It was very scary, and he was in and out of the hospital. It was really hard. And then when we finally brought him back to his house, we had to redo the room next to the kitchen and turn it into a bedroom by ripping out the carpet so that everything was wheelchair accessible and that we could have a hospital bed put in there. There was a lot of life changes that were happening, and I saw needs that didn't really pop in my head before. But when you're in a situation where there's not a whole lot of choices, it's like, why isn't there a service that delivers this or comes to your house for this? And I thought, how great would it be to start a service because of my experience with my dad and help others in his situation? So that's where I'm going with this. I just thought I would share my journey of where I'm at right now. And I'm actually sitting on a pile of paperwork, and it takes a lot of paperwork to start a business. And anyways, that's where I'm at in my life. You guys know I love traveling. It's hard because I'm realizing that I'm gonna have to sacrifice a lot because that's what it takes. And so I'm willing to commit to that. Sometimes I'm torn because it's like, I have never regretted any travel that I've ever done. And sometimes I wonder if I don't go on a trip, or if I think that I can put it off to another time and then that time never happens, will I regret it? But will I be happy that I had taken that time to start rolling my business? And so I'm always like torn. I feel like the story of my life is like being at crossroads. I could go this way or this way. And whichever path that I choose is going to be huge. It's going to be life-changing. And I'm sure you guys can probably relate to that. And of course, dedicating myself to my business, I have to take, like, dating and all that stuff has to get put aside. And I'm okay with that because I feel like this is my chance to really invest my time into me and my goals. And so that's what I want to do. And yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.